I have Estelle Hakner with me. Here she comes. Hi, Estelle.
Hiya.
Cool. The technology is working. We had a few glitches, but we sorted it out. So Estelle, for everyone watching, can you please share who you are, what you do, and who you do it for?
Sure. So I'm Estelle. I'm a copywriter based on the Isle of Jura in Scotland. And I work with eco-conscious businesses to draw out honest messaging that makes people buy and love what they're selling.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I love that you have such a purpose-driven niche as well. It's so much more effective in your marketing. So what happened? You did the Copywriting Master Class last year and you started in September. What was happening in your life that led you to look for a copywriting course?
Well, I actually wasn't looking for a course, but but I had been feeling very stuck in my business, and I mean, I'd been a freelance copywriter for about 2.5 years at that point,
right?
And I kind of got to this point where I didn't feel confident. For some reason, I didn't feel confident in explaining to my clients the decisions behind my copy.
Mm-hmm.
And I started questioning my approach to projects that I'd been doing for, since I'd started. I really knew them like the back of my hand, but I started questioning them. And yes, so I just felt I didn't feel very confident at all. And at that point, I joined the Confident Copywriting group.
Yes.
And it just so happened that I joined at a similar time that the Copywriting Master Class was opening up. And yeah, so even though I wasn't looking for a course, your messaging just spoke to those feelings so accurately that it was like the solution to my confidence issues that I didn't even really realize I needed.
Nice. Awesome. So when you were looking at the course, like you knew it was available and you were starting to look at how it was put together and decide if it was going to fit the bill, what were some important aspects of the course to you?
So for me, something that I really liked was the fact that you focused, you went back to basics and you focused a lot on the marketing behind the copywriting, which was something that I trained in journalism. So everything I knew about copywriting was self-taught, and I missed that marketing step. So, and I feel like that's where it's part of the reason why I didn't feel confident explaining to clients why I was doing certain things in the writing. So that was a big part for me. And I liked the fact that you started at the beginning and you went all the way through to some complex writing projects, and it was a step by step. And you would know that by the end of it, you can't say that there's gaps in your knowledge because there's a lesson for everything, basically.
Cool. That's so good. Like I'm grinning because that is how, I created the course that I want to do, that I wanted to do and learning in the way that I wanted to learn. So I'm really glad to hear that, because that's how I really put it together in like, these are the little blocks and they build the foundation. And when it comes to that third module, you can put them together in the order that is most persuasive and effective. So I love that.
That's it. And you can build on that from there. You have your foundation. And if there's a particular area that you're really interested in, you can build on that, but you've got that solid grounding in it.
Yeah. Excellent. Love that. Was there anything that almost stopped you from saying yes to the course?
So I suppose the initial barrier was the price, but that's only because I hadn't actually heard of the course until a week or two before it opened.
Yeah.
So I hadn't budgeted for it. But I wanted to do it immediately. I didn't want to wait for the next intake and save up. So I just made that work. But that's the only thing. And I knew it'd be worth the investment. So
awesome, because we knew each other. But yes, I have the same. When I've signed up for big courses, I've often found out about them just as they're open. And I'm like, I didn't really budget for this, but like you, I'm like, I don't want to wait. And when I talked to Kat earlier this week, we talked about how sometimes, especially with a big investment, I personally go, all right, well, you have to want it. You have to wait for a day or two to make sure that you're not just getting persuaded by the sales page. So I know that feeling.
No, I did actually have to say to myself, because I got your emails about it, and I actually said, don't read it because you'll want to do the course. So I had it in my inbox, and then I thought, I just need to read it, and inevitably.
That's hilarious.
Very good email.
I love that. And so with the investment of not only time, but the money, also the time, how did you find that moving through all the material? And then what was your feeling once you got in? How did you feel about the investment in money? And also, 2 questions there. How did you organize your time to do the course?
Okay. So, as soon as I started, I knew, as soon as I saw the material, I knew the investment was worth it. And I should say as well, I actually upgraded to the VIP option because I wanted more.
Okay.
I wanted the whole lot. But yes, so as soon as I started, I didn't really think twice about the price. It was going to be really valuable. In terms of time, I carved out, I think it was Mondays, I carved out Mondays to work on the course material, which in the first few weeks of the course was fine. I had like lots of time, and then towards the end of the course, when it starts to get a bit more intense, I did find that I would have my Monday, but then I'd come back to the material later in the week for the submissions, because I didn't want to rush the submissions. Want to get feedback on what you feel is your best work. So a bit more time consuming towards the end, but well worth it as well.
Oh, that's good, because and just for anyone watching, the lessons in the beginning, you're learning the techniques. So you have little exercises to practice the technique, and some of them are brainstorming techniques and some of them are writing techniques. But then in that 3rd module, it's like, right, now you're going to write a brochure. Here's a brief. Now you're going to write a direct mail, and now you're going to convert that direct mail to an email. So it's pulling everything together and submitting it, which can be kind of terrifying. How did you find the process of submitting to the forum? Because I know some people get a little nervous and sweaty about that.
Yeah, it was a bit like that. But there's no need to be. Everyone is so supportive, and you learn so much from doing it as well, reading other people's submissions and their approaches to things that when I first started, I didn't want to read people's submissions before I submitted mine, but I actually found that towards the end, that was really helpful to do. So I might have a stab at it myself, and then before I submitted, I'd read other people's ideas, and it gets you thinking in different ways. And really
absolutely useful. And that's why I think the forum is such a useful resource, because I've put every bit of feedback I've had since 2013. And part of those early brainstorming exercises, part of the point is to get to the end and then be shown the next few steps, because that's pushing your muscles a little bit further. But having all those submissions on the forum already, you can do some of that work before you even submit, which just gets you further along.
For sure.
Awesome. Was there anything that surprised you about the course?
Yeah, actually, I think one of the things I found most surprising was that how quickly I would improve, and how
good.
Because you kind of think you're going to do this course and you'll come out of it like a better copywriter, but you're a better copywriter from day one, I'd say. There was a client I was working on at the time. I think it was the brand personality week.
Yeah.
And I'd been working on this client for months. and it'd been going okay, but I couldn't quite nail the tone of voice. And I had another stab at it during that week, brand personality week. And I kind of fell back to my old ways of doing things. And I thought, wait, this is what you're learning about this week. Like, you've literally just learned tips that you could use right now on this project. And I tried a few different things, and it just instantly, I just found it. I found that tone that I hadn't been able to crack.
Awesome.
And it was only a few small tweaks, but I wouldn't, it's just approaching it from a different angle. You get stuck in, you think you know all the ways of doing something, but it frees up your thinking a little bit. So really
absolutely. Oh, I'm so glad. And I think I remember you posting about that, actually going, I had a breakthrough. But that's what I think it's really good as working copywriters, when you've been in it for a year or two or even 3, we sort of get into a routine of how we do things. But going back and being challenged can really, it makes you a little uncomfortable, but you definitely bring more tips and processes on board.
Yeah, and also it's one thing learning these things and reading about them, but actually making sure you implement them when you're working.
Yes.
And you can see, I think the masterclass encourages you to do that because of the exercises.
Yes.
You're not just learning something and forgetting about it. You're using it, and it's going into your head. So
yeah, that's right. And do you refer back to the course since then, since you've done it?
Got the nice little printout.
Oh, nice.
I was using it today, actually. Yeah, I use it all the time.
Awesome.
Little tags for each of the different topics, and you can just flick to it.
Excellent.
As and when needed. Yeah,
because even when I'm about to write something, I go through the material and resources that I have here to just reinforce some of those, more structured techniques, so that I'm not just shooting from the hip. So yes, I too, even now, sort of refresh my memory on what it's all about. Did you have a favorite aspect of the course?
I think I just really liked the structure of it. I loved the fact that you started with the marketing, the mindset, that sort of thing, which for me, I actually found that really difficult, because it's just, I've never done that before. And you build up, to the writing project. And I really like that about it. And I flick back to those early lessons all the time now.
Oh, that's good. Because it's deceptively simple when you go, what do you think is motivating people to make this purchase? And it's not as easy as you think.
It's not.
But it's important. And how did you find, I know you upgraded to the no limits VIP option, where you got feedback from me on all your submissions, but you also came to all the group coaching calls. Pretty much. So how did you find that kind of weekly commitment?
I found it really useful, because it was Friday night for me here, and it actually worked really well, because I do the work on a Monday, or do the lesson on a Monday, hopefully have the week to think through the content, read other people's submissions, and then have the coaching call on a Friday to digest everything, and then you're back the next week doing the next one. I found that structure really helpful.
Awesome.
And it just helps you retain the material as well.
Oh, good. That's right. Because, there are smaller courses out there, shorter courses that don't require so much of a commitment. So I'm almost glad to hear when it's helpful to have that. Yes. It's almost like a little accountability element each week.
That's it. And I think, for me, certainly, if I fall off of that routine, I just find it so hard to pick back up on the course content. And I wanted to do them live, because you get the best, feedback from it, and you get to ask questions and
be in that moment and follow up, get that extra layer of advice. So who would you recommend? Like, you came to it as a working copywriter. Who do you think this course is really perfect for?
I would say anybody that is or wants to be a copywriter that is perhaps feeling a bit stuck or is lacking confidence, this course can really help, because that it gives you the skills to know that you do actually know what you're doing. Like you can't say anymore like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, because you do. You've done the course. you know what you're doing. You've submitted the work. You've got feedback on it. Like, you know you can do it.
Yes.
And that is going to make you feel tons more confident, like it has me. So.
And I love the fact that you're now able to say, well, the reason I've done it this way is because. And
Yes.
it's not just because I felt like it was the right thing to do, or I've seen it done elsewhere. You can go, it's science, baby. Marketing says this is it.
Honestly, that's such a big thing. Like, just being able to explain it. And it's not that you don't necessarily know it either. It's that you can't think how to articulate that properly.
Yeah.
To clients. And now, like, I have that. I know what to say. I know, like, you can get it across properly, which makes you feel like an expert or a specialist.
Yes.
Which is invaluable.
Yes, absolutely. Leads to high rates, because when you can sell yourself in that way, absolutely, you fill other people with confidence. Cool. Yeah. Well, tell everyone, because you mentioned you're a member of my confident copywriting group as well. So we see each other all the time. But for everyone watching, remind them what your business name is and where people can find you.
Yeah, so my business name is Estelle Hakner Copywriting, and I'm currently building my website, but soon you'll be able to find me at estellehakner.co.uk. But other than that, I'm on Instagram. The handle is at Estelle Hakner. That's where I spend most of my time.
Awesome. Love the Insta. So I shall link to you in this post as well. So thank you so much for your time today, Estelle. Get on with your evening, because it's evening where you are, and I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Thank you.
Bye.